What's going on YouTube? This is Rybo at the Fake Bench again today with another cut or carry knife review. Today looking at the Spyderco Sage 5. So this is a knife I got a while back. I've carried this quite a bit, and so I have some thoughts. Again, because of the whole workbench incident and the state of things, I do not have all of my typical tools, so the scale and the calipers. So we'll just have to go with just a size comparison today. So let's pull up a couple knives of similar size just to give you an idea. So this is the CRK 31 Sabenza. And let's do a couple Spydercos. So let's do this little guy. This is the Dragonfly 2. And let's do the PM2 is probably a good one. And let's grab let's do the Delica today. I don't pull the Delica out very often, but I really like the Delica. So you can see it's very similar in size to the Delica. It has more of the leaf-shaped blade, actually a lot more similar to the Chaparral. And I'm a fan of kind of wider blades like that. So I really like these two blades. You can see that it is a little bit more robust than something like the Chaparral, a little bit more on par, I guess, with something like the Delica over here. But yeah, it's in kind of that size range, really good EDC size. And so I think it's a really excellent size overall, a little bit thicker than what you might typically have. I don't have my calipers, but I would guess half an inch or maybe a hair above, because it is a little bit beefier, even though it does have nested liners. So yeah, there you go. All right, so things that I like about this knife. Most of the things about this knife I really like. So first of all, from an ergonomic standpoint, this knife is an absolute killer. This is a fantastic knife in the hand for actual kind of cutting purposes. So I mean, yes, like the grips here feel good and stuff, but honestly, you're never really doing these kind of grips. This is what you're doing. The pinch grip, which I think feels really good on this knife because of this texture, and the forward finger choil feels great. Because it is a little bit of a thicker handle, it feels really good in the hand, and so I really like that. And I think it's just a good kind of handle to blade size. I've mentioned before with the Chaparral that when you really grab this guy, everything disappears except for the blade, which I really like. It's maybe a bit small for my hand. This one feels really good. This one, you have ample room here on the grip. It just feels really great in the hand. You're just exposing that blade, and pretty much everything that's exposed here is just pure slicey goodness. So you can use that whole blade. And so the ergonomics on this knife are really fantastic. Other things I like, this is a little bit controversial because I think people either love it or hate it, but this Spyderco, it's like a ply carbon fiber thing. It's like carbon fiber laminate on top of a G10 material here. There's concerns about this peeling, and just generally people don't love it. As I've said before, I'm not a carbon fiber guy at all. It's just not my thing. It generally means a lack of texture. I don't love the way that it looks. It's just not my aesthetic. This I really like. Now, the ply part of it and the concerns I understand. I guess I have them in the back of my mind, although practically speaking, it's holding up just fine. But this gives a very interesting kind of aesthetic and excellent grip. So this is grippy enough without being too grippy, not too slick, and it gives something a little bit different to look at than G10. So I actually really like the carbon fiber. I think you get some really cool effects of that with the light play. But just from a practical standpoint, which is where I tend to be, it's excellent in the hand. It's grippy. It's not too grippy. You don't have any issues getting this in and out of the pocket, so it's not grippy enough to where it's tearing up your jeans. I think it works really well. And so from that standpoint, I think, it kind of plays in there with the ergonomics, but just the handle material I really like. Other things that I like about this knife, obviously the S30V blade, good steel, no issues there. I'm not a big steel guy, but I like a good steel, so no issues there. I found S30V to be emerging as one of my favorite steels, fairly easy to sharpen, keeps a good edge, and so yeah, I like that. I mentioned before, but the blade shape, I really like. I mean, Spyderco blade shapes just have always spoken to me, but particularly the bigger leaf style blades, I really like. To me, there's a lot of utility in having a wider blade, having something with a little bit of a spine back here. In a pinch, I've used the spine of a Spyderco for anything from tightening up screws or prying, try to take care of my knives, but they are tools, and so that's what they're used for. And so I do like a good blade like this. With the Delica, I've always found this a bit too thin, although I think that's what aids to the sliciness and overall lightweight. But I do really like the leaf style blades. I like the way they look. I like the way they perform. I think it's a very slicey blade. It's a classic Spyderco FFG, and so I'm a big fan of that. And so all in all, it's a great Spyderco design. It's nothing too new. It's nothing too exciting, but it's just a great all around Spyderco. I love the wire clip. I'm a wire clip guy, so I think that the wire clip works really, really well. And then another little detail with this knife that I'm a big fan of is you have the lanyard tube here, which is something that you see on, I think, the PM2 over here, but you don't get this on all Spydercos. And it's a little detail. It actually, I guess, complicates the opening and disassembly a little bit, but I love that as a detail. To me, it's a really dumb thing, but it's kind of like Honda as a car company. They're known for when you open and close their doors, you get that satisfying sound. You get that feel of quality. This to me is like a little sign of quality. It doesn't really practically do much. I don't have lanyard on most of my knives, but it is just a little thing that just kind of classes up the knife a little bit. It makes it feel a little bit more complete, and it's a dumb thing, but it's one of those things that just like it looks better on the knife, and it just makes it feel a little bit higher quality. So perception is reality, and that definitely adds to the perception. Other things I like, obviously compression lock. The action is very good on the open, very, very smooth. And so again, it's like classic Spyderco. A lot of the things that Spyderco does really well, I think I said on the Para 3, it's like a lot of the things Spyderco does well, they put in this knife. I would say the same here. So like if the Para 3 lightweight or maybe the Chaparral is an example of something that Spyderco is kind of putting all of their goodness into one package. That was an example on the lightweight series side, so on the FRN series. This would be an example of like the full G10 Spydercos, where you have full liners and you have compression locks and you have non-FRN handles. I think this is a great example of Spyderco putting everything that they do really well into one knife. You have wire clip, compression lock. You have this really interesting little ply G10 texture material, good blade, good steel, good action. Carryability is really good. It's not very heavy. And so all in all, it's nothing new, but it's everything that they do really well in one good package. Okay, things that I don't like about the knife. Honestly, I've tried to find things. I don't know. There's really only one thing, and it's not a big deal. But compression locks are fidgety, and this one's not super fidgety. This one does not drop shut like a lot of Spydercos. Let me see if I can do this on my Para 2. Yeah, so I mean, like that's a drop shutty action on a compression lock. This one, for whatever reason, is not. It's not the only Spyderco that I've found that's not that way on the compression lock, but definitely not drop shutty. You have to kind of give it a little nudge or kind of tap on the pants, but that is not a super. I guess practical in one sense, like you want to have a one-handed closed knife, but really not a big deal. And that's really the only thing I don't like about the knife. So, final conclusions, cut or carry. This is a carry for sure. This has been in my pocket quite a bit. This is that knife that I reach for when I don't want to be in the knife community and be choosing between all these different knives, if that makes sense. Like this is the knife I reach for when I just want a tool, when I just want something that I can go out to the store, I can go out, whatever. Like it just does everything. It really just is the knife I don't have to think about. It's not a sexy choice. It's not a cool choice, but it's just tried and true. It works really, really well. And so I've been very, very impressed with this knife, and I plan to keep this for a long time. So hope you've enjoyed this Sage 5 review, and I'll see you next time.